I really wish I knew this before I actually hopped into the fish keeping hobby. So in this video, I'm basically gonna be talking to you guys about the things I wish I knew, or the things I wish somebody told me, or just giving me the guidance that I need to be able to do this hobby successfully without making so many mistakes. So stick around if that's you. You're that person who's looking to find out how exactly I can hop into the hobby, or you already bought your tank and you're looking to see how exactly you can move forward and have a successful, interesting, beautiful hobby. If that's you, stick around because we're going to cover a whole lot of things. Alright, so we're at Desert Pets, and what we're going to be doing here is basically looking at the fish that are, the options that are there for every beginner to know, and also the fish tanks that are also available for beginners, and looking around and seeing the products that are there to just show you the options. But the most important thing that you need to know is when you hop into this hobby is doing research. One of the guys on our WhatsApp group, our exclusive WhatsApp group, was like, it's very important for people to actually do research before they actually get the fish, which is absolutely very important. And another thing which is also an absolute banger is we arrived just in time. Desert Pets has received their shipment of marine fish, so we're also just going to take a look at what they have as well, and then we get started on what we need to see. And so let's go.
Hey, how's it going?
Cool, man. How are you?
Good.
Great. Like, how long do the fish like stay in the boxes?
Until 48 hours.
48 hours.
Yeah.
So that means they flew in.
That's really great, yes.
Fish are still alive.
Yes,
Yes, sir. You guys afraid of the fish, or?
The legs are sensitive. Come here.
So while the boys are busy with the fish, I'm just gonna hop straight on to showing you guys what exactly you need when it comes to being a beginner in the hobby. I personally haven't bought anything from the store yet, right? Yet. But one of the things that you need to do first of all is you need to get to know the fish that you're gonna be buying, right? You need to know what fish you're gonna be putting in, and then once you decide of, okay, I want to have this type of fish. I personally started off with guppies, right? I started off with guppies. They're amazing fish. They look absolutely amazing. They are not that afraid of people. They are very colorful and amazing stuff, right? So look at that, colorful guppies. Alright, so before you even pick your tank, you need to decide what kind of fish you actually want. And if you're a beginner or someone who doesn't even know where to start, I would say come to a pet shop or a fish store and look around at the options that are there, because there are different kinds of options when it comes to fish. You have a look around the fish store, you see how interesting the different kinds of fishes are. Like here, look at this. I'm not even sure what kind of fish these are. But just look at this. They're probably a goldfish. I don't know. They look interesting. Just look at those, right? And then you have these. You have these ones which just swim in groups, and they're so slim and so long and so interesting. Then you have the colorful guppies right there, and then Here you have, I think it's koi or goldfish, I'm not entirely sure. And then you have these ones, interesting looking. You have, you know, the goldfish. Just look at that, amazing stuff, right? And then you have the arowanas, and then you have these guys which are not for sale. I don't even know what the names are, but they're so freaking cool, right? Once you do that, once you come to the fish store, once you have a look around and see what are the options that are there, you make your pick. And then once you have made your pick and say, okay, I love this type of fish, like in my case, I went for the guppies, right? I have guppies right now in my tank, and then I also have mollies in my tank, right? So you pick the kind of fish that you have in your tank, that you're gonna put in your tank, and once you have picked them, then you say, okay, right, now that I've picked guppies, what is the best kind of, or the best size tank for my guppies, right? For your guppies, since they're like small kind of fish, you can go for something like this. You can go for something like this. You can go for something even like this, or even something like this, which gives you more options to put in a huge number of guppies or something like that, which makes, you see, so you start off picking your fish and say, okay, I've picked this number of fish. Now, okay, now I have an idea of what actually to choose and what exactly to put in my tank, or like what kind of tank or what kind of size tank I should actually put in, right? So you start off by looking at the fish that are available. You make your pick. It makes it easier to actually choose the right size of tank, because you can have a small sized, you can have actually a small sized tank for your guppies and mollies, like I have, which is basically a 30-liter tank, and I have guppies and mollies in there, right? Or you can be someone who wants to have bigger fish like discus, which means that you're gonna have to either pick something like this, which is very huge, or even something much bigger than that, something like this humongous tank right there, or even something even bigger like that. So you see, the moment you pick your fish, it makes starting the hobby absolutely very simple, because now you have picked your fish. I want guppies, I want angels, I want discus, I want this, I want that, I want this. Now you have your option. You can be someone who says, I want guppies and mollies, and then now you know what size tank you're gonna pick. Now that you've picked your fish, you've picked up the size of the tank you want, now we're gonna be looking at the different kinds of filters, right? These are very essential, because okay, now that, let's say for example you picked up a 30-liter tank, right? It's gonna be easy to come and say, okay, what kind of filter do I need? Something that can actually handle something like that. So you have the different options that you can look at, and the amazing thing about buying from a store or even being part of a community. So guys, I'm gonna leave my number and my email down in the comment section so that you can get access to our personal WhatsApp group, so that you can ask questions like, guys, what kind of filter can I use? What kind of pump can I use? What kind of filter best suits my personal, what kind of filter best suits my personal tank, which is a 30-liter tank or a 65-liter tank. So, right, so you see, you have different kinds of options. You can be someone who says, oh, I don't want anything in my, I don't want like any filters in my tank. So you have a hang-on filter, which you basically hang, and it will be at the back of your tank. Or you can be someone who's like, who has these ones, which will be like in your tank. So the options are actually available to you. And then you can, if you're gonna buy like a big tank, you can buy these big ones right there. You see, 1,000 liters per hour. You see, 1,000 liters per hour, 1,000 liters per hour, and they just keep going. So you just look at the, you just look and read, some of these things are in Chinese, so you're gonna have to you're gonna have to ask the guys at the fish store, can this handle my 30-liter tank or my 85-liter tank or whatever, right? So you have, now that you have your tank, now that you have your fish, you have your, you're not gonna buy the fish now, you're just gonna pick the type of fish that you want. So you buy the fish, then you can buy the filter, and then now what we're gonna look at are the different types of things that you need to make the hobby interesting, right? So now we're gonna look at the substrates that are available to you. And the substrates that are available to you are, you see, you have these ones right there, super heavy. You have these guys right there, very, very freaking heavy. So you have these kinds of substrate that are actually available to you. I personally never use this kind of substrate, but if you're someone who's willing to pay and just go out there and say, you know what, I want to have a planted tank in my I want to have a planted tank, which means you're gonna have to have a proper substrate, right? So the options are available to you. You can have something like this, right? You can have, or you can have something like this one. I don't even really know what type of substrate it is, so it's very essential. You're either part of a community, or if you're not part of a community, you come to the fish store and they can actually help you out and tell you, this one, the benefits of having something like this is this and that, right? So right. So now that you have looked at the different types of filters, or the different types of let me actually show you this. I didn't say this, but I have a filter which is basically like this one, but mine is a bit smaller. So you see the options are actually available to you. Or you can even have another filter that actually looks like this, so you are not bound to or limited to just one simple thing, right? So now that you are like basically looking for the substrate, which will basically give the plants like some kind of nutrients. I'm pretty sure these are the ones that actually give your soil or your substrate and nutrients. Then you can now look at what type of soil you actually want to use to actually cap off the substrate, the nutrient-based substrate. You can use, right? You can see, you can actually use something like this white pure sand. It means like you have more options. You can pick something like this beachy look to it. So that means you can create like a nice river look to your scape. Or you can use this volcano mineral substrate, right? Interesting stuff. I've never used any of this. What I've used is just basically sand, and yeah. And then you have this one that you can use. Apparently, I see a shrimp here that you can also just use as well. So you see, you have different kinds of options, right? And then you see, look at that, another type of sand that you can basically use. Right, now that we looked at the fish, we looked at the tanks, and we looked at the substrates that you can use, what we're going to look at now we also looked at the filters. Now what we're going to look at are the different types of rocks that you can actually use. So you see there are two shelves right here that you can actually have different kinds of options to actually pick from, right? Me personally, I'm a fan of this kind of wood because it just has a nice dark color to it. But then you can always pick something like this one. Depends on what actually catches your eye. For me personally, I prefer wood that actually looks like this. Or you can be someone who actually prefers this kind of wood. It all depends on you. So you can go out, come to your local fish stores, go to your community, say, guys, I'm looking to buy wood. Does anybody have wood? And then, or you can also just go on YouTube videos. You can watch the videos I have made, or you can watch people like MD Fish Tank and a whole lot of other guys as well to see what kind of wood they use to make their masterpieces. It's all up to you. You see, you're not actually limited to a certain kind of wood. You can pick something that looks like this, right? And then you build a scape that actually makes sense to you, a scape that just looks absolutely amazing, right? I actually put this in the wrong place. It's supposed to be here, right? So you can have something like that, something like this as well. You just make your pick, right? And then once you're making your wood choices, you can also make rock choices as well, right? You can have rock, pick the rock that you want to use in your tank and say, okay, this one's gonna look nice with this wood, this one's gonna look nice like this. And also just feel free to take the wood pieces, put them on the ground, take a piece of rock, right? Take a piece of rock and be like, okay, if I put this one and this together, what exactly am I going to have? How is it gonna look? And it also makes your selection of wood completely easy, right? Now that you've made your wood selection, you have made your rock selection. Oh, let me show you some interesting pieces. Right, like these ones. Ooh, things keep falling. Like you see, like these ones, I think will make a nice black water tank. Like if you use this for like a nice black water tank, or you don't have to make it like a black water tank, but you make it look like the roots, you know, like a nice root system. I mean, these are absolutely amazing. So after that, the next thing that you need is going to be the water, right? Once you fill it up with water, there are different types of options when it comes to actually like putting in your water. Like myself personally, I use an e-spring. This boy is what I use for the water in my tank. This is an e-spring, and this removes up to 140 contaminants that could possibly be in your water, and it dechlorinates the water. It removes all the gunk and dirt and all that disgusting stuff that's in the water. It brings it to that natural state. I don't want to spend much time talking about this, but this is what I use for my water. Or if you're someone who actually doesn't have an e-spring, you could be someone who actually comes to desert pets where they actually sell water. So right there. So you can basically be buying your water from them in these containers, and they have RO water basically, and that's basically their system right there. So the options are absolutely available to you. And another thing that you can also use are some of these products, right? You can use, let's find the right one. Nope. Right, you can use products like this to like basically condition your water so that your water is absolutely perfect for when you actually put in fish, right? And then you can also, there's the aqua forest line, and then there's clarity, and then there's like the options are there for you, right? So another thing that you can also use is come on, where is it? Come on, you don't have it? Let's look here. What I'm actually looking for is the product that you can use, that you can put into your tank to actually like, you know, you just put it in, and then you can basically have it's a basically there's bacteria, like, is it bacteria or like what's it called? It has everything that you need to actually be able to like put your fish right in a way. Alright, so if you're someone who actually buys the RO water, they have the remineralizer right there, and the products are here. I am not an expert when it comes to all these products. What I use is my e-spring, and I also just, when I want to do like a new scape, I use like 50% of water from maybe my main tank, or water from my pond, but most likely from my main tank. But for you guys, I'll say make your research, do your research. For someone who's new, do your research. Once you fill in your water, you can either buy water from these guys, or you can buy a water conditioner here, or something to remove the chlorine and all the ammonia and stuff right here. And then once you have that, you need to like basically leave your tank for like a pause for like a while. But while you're leaving your tank, you have the option to be putting in plants. You also want to be on YouTube? Yeah, I'll come back. Alright. So the amazing thing is that Desert Pets actually has plants, right? So once you're in the store, you're buying, you have made the decision, I want this fish, I want this fish tank, I want this filter, I want this sand, I want these rocks, this wood, I want this dechlorinator, and all these things, right? You can come and choose the plants that you're going to be putting into your fish tank, right? The options are absolutely there. Look at that. Huh? Look at this, right? So you have these ones, something, and then you have like, I don't think this is Ludwiga, but I'm not sure, probably. You have these red, beautiful plants right there, and then you have these ones right there. So you see the options of, don't tell the guys I was actually touching this, the glass. You're not supposed to touch the glass, right? So the options are actually available to you, right? And then they have actually these, which are absolutely amazing. So like, just check this out, right? So they are like all over here. So you have like different, so you have like the different types. You have these, you have that. So like, oh, these are amazing, right? So you have like the different types of plants that you can actually be using in your fish tank, right? And then as well as in here, you see right there, there's like different plants, these different plants. You have like the different plants right there. So the options are available to you. You can just make your pick and say, I want this, I want to have this type of plant, I want to have this type of plants in my tank, this type of plants in my tank. So once your tank is sitting right there, you've put in the hardscape, you've put in the rock, you've put in the sand, you've put in all these things, you can be taking your time to say, I'm gonna pick in the different types of plants. And also the amazing thing is our community is a place where people are basically selling different kinds of amazing plants. Some people actually order the amazing plants from like abroad and stuff like that. So you can actually make your pick from the WhatsApp group as well. So make sure you text me so that I can join. I'll add you to the group. But before you join, I'm basically gonna just ask you a few questions to just make sure that when you're entering the group, you know exactly the kind of people we are as well. So yeah, the options are available to you. You don't have to like completely rush. Enjoy the process, because this is an amazing process, especially scaping your tank, which is basically the thing what I'm actually showing you right now. Is an absolutely amazing, interesting process that you can actually take your time to enjoy and just go through it, right? And another thing that I also wanted to show you, right? Another thing that I wanted to show you guys is this. Alright, so another thing that you can use is basically lava rock, basically crushed lava rock. So you can basically use this as like scattered gravel, or like to place it close to where your big pieces of rock is gonna be, so that it looks like it's more realistic. Because if you look at how nature is in real life, when you have like a rock, there's always like small pieces of rock along like side close to it. So you want to give your tank like that kind of look that you're going. And the kind of scape that I'm actually talking about right now is a nature scape, where your plants are actually the main. That's actually heavy. So where your plants are actually like the main feature in your tank, and basically all that. So yeah. And also we had a comment last time in the where the commenter was saying talk about like the different kind of filters that are actually available. So yeah, look, we actually have like different kinds of filters that are available, and I personally don't know much about the different kinds of filters, so I think I'll make another dedicated video where I actually basically talk about the different kinds of filter that are actually there. So yeah, and I just want to show you guys this as well. Look at these guys, right? Question: would you guys swim with this? Look how smooth they just swim. Alright, so one thing a beginner should definitely know is how to maintain their tank, because maintaining your tank is the most crucial thing or the most important thing in your hobby. That's how you have your fish live for a very long time, and that's how you also that's how you also are able to have healthy plants growing over a long period of time. That maintenance, the things that you do on a daily basis, the things you do on a weekly basis, the things that you do on a monthly basis, those are the most important things that you need to be able to maintain this hobby throughout a long period of time. And this is a English, you know what I mean. You can't negotiate these things. It's a must that you have to do them. So you need things that you'll be using to be able to do your maintenance. I have a sponge here that I use for cleaning my glass, and I have a scrub right here that I use for removing the white stuff or the minerals that grow around your tank once your water is like evaporating. So I use that for like scraping. You can either get like a razor blade that you can also be using as well. I didn't get a chance to actually show you guys, I completely forgot about that. But like, yeah, you could also be using things like, I have a scrubber that doesn't actually like scratch your glass. So if you also want information on that, I'm also going to leave my number in the comment section, so you can just reach me and find out more about this beautiful scrubber that I use that doesn't actually scratch the glass, which also makes this entire thing absolutely easy to do, because you just go in, you put your hand right there, and then you are literally just scratching, like not scratching but like scrubbing that stuff off your tank, right? You just basically do that, and then you go to the other side as well, where you just basically do that. Right now you're a beginner and you're going to be putting plants in your tank, so the thing that's going to happen, you're definitely going to have algae that's going to grow on your tank. So you gotta be prepared to do scrubbing off, you know, of the algae, to just get all that algae out, and doing water changes. And sometimes when you have a new setup, ammonia and other stuff, the ammonia spikes and all that are probably gonna occur in your tank, so you're gonna have to do like water changes, especially if it's a new setup, just to make sure that your setup or your fish are in an amazing setup. And then if you're gonna be like someone who's gonna put your fish directly in your tank, you're gonna have to have beneficial bacteria that you put in your tank, so that the fish can definitely go in right away and help the tank cycle real faster as well. So right now what I'm going to do is just want to do water change on this one. It's a dual water change, so I'm going to do water change in this one, because there was a snail that died in there, and I feel like it's still affecting. I caught it soon, but I still feel like it needs like a water change, so I'm going to do that. So yeah, want to know how to get a clear tank, make sure you also watch this video as well. Right there's the card, but I'm also going to link it at the end of the video. So let's go. Now that you have your tank, time to put every single thing that you have bought together, right? And now this is like the most fun part of this hobby: having your sand, having your wood, having your rocks, having your scatter gravel that you're gonna put everywhere, having all those things together and putting them together to create a masterpiece is absolutely amazing. But there are a few things that I just want to talk about that a lot of you guys who are new to this hobby will probably do like myself. Like when I first started with this hobby and I had scaped my tank, I put in my sand, I put in my little decorations like the shells, the little pebbles, put all those things in the tank. I came with a whole big ass bucket, but I don't have a bucket right now. I'm just gonna use a bottle just to demonstrate. I just went in and just did that. right? But when you're in this hobby, you don't want to do something like that, because it definitely, especially once you've put every single thing together, it ruins the scape. So you don't want to do anything that will ruin your scape. So we're going to take this water out, and then I'm going to show you how to properly do what you need to do. Right. So we're gonna start off with basically putting in nutrient-based substrate. When I started this hobby, I didn't have any cash to begin with, right? And having money is the most important thing that you need to have when it comes to this hobby. So what I'm going to be using is basically sand or garden soil, basically, right? So I'm just going to be using garden soil to basically give my tank some nutrients, right? I'm just gonna go in there with it, right? So this is basically what it just looks like, right? This is basically what it looks like, and if I take you to where it is, that's basically it. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to remove all these big chunks of wood, small pieces of steel, like the small big pieces of rock and all these things, and just leave the sand right there. And then that will basically just give me the nutrients that I basically need. And then I'm gonna cap it off with this sand, which was from an old scape that I was using. As you can see, there's like some of that nutrient stuff in there. So yeah, basically using all that stuff, and then I'm gonna basically cap it off with sand, and then we can start getting to the fun bit of the entire hobby. So you put all that stuff in there, you crush the stuff that are like, crush the whole stuff, and then take all this stuff out. Now that I'm done with that, what I'm going to do is basically cap it off with this sand that I've used. I don't throw away sand, because coming across with sand like this is basically very expensive. So I'm just gonna pour that sand in just to, you know, cap that off, and then also just to give me the nutrients left over from that other, from the previous scape, basically. So yeah, I already poured it in like that. So that's basically now just doing that, you see. Plus also height as well, since this is gonna be like the forefront, you don't want to have much. Since that's gonna be like the forefront, you don't want to have much of that sand at the forefront there, since we're gonna add more sand. So you just want to bring that back like that, bring it back like that. All right. Right, that's how it's basically looking right now. So that's how it's looking right now. That's the back right there, and that is the front. As you can see, that's what it's looking like. All right, so the next thing to do would be to put in the sand, and basically make sure you wash your sand. You definitely want to have your sand washed, so that once you're putting in water, it doesn't make your tank, you know, all that. But I didn't do that. I mean, if you are lazy, just put in the sand, but make sure that but you definitely, it depends on where you get your sand as well. This is sand that my mom got for me when she was in the coast. I asked her to give me sand, and she got me the sand from the beach. Right, so this is just basically to cap everything off, to cover all that stuff that's like at the bottom, those nutrients, just cover them up. Right, and also another thing that you can use for your nutrients is also root tabs. Those are basically things that look like peels that you can either break or some actually look like those, I don't know, you know when you look at medicine, they have those white and green or white and red capsules. So basically you can have those, and then you can just basically put in. The root tabs look absolutely different depending on the company that you, or the brand that you buy. So you can also put those in to have a vibrant tank so that the plants have nutrients, a source of nutrients and stuff. So now that we have that in, the next thing to do will be to put in like your hardscape, the wood that you want to put in, and that kind of stuff, right? So what I have with me is this, right? So I'm thinking this is, I know this is a bit too big, so if I can just break it somewhere here like that, just break that like that, keep this right here, don't go too far. That I'm gonna have to break off this part and this, let's see, do we really, yeah, and that part, right? So now we have something like this, right? Something like that. You can move it this side, close to this side. Then I think I'll put like a rock somewhere here just to give it like height as well. Not all of them. I just want to pick like the best one. The best one. Yes. You can just take the camera, because I'm gonna be moving up and down.
Damn, it's hot, bruh.
The phone.
How is it still recording?
Alright. So here is the rock collection that I have. What I'm gonna be using is these ones. So I was thinking to use this one just underneath this, right? Just to, I think it's still too small. I need something a bit bigger, so I think maybe we can go for this one. I love the patterns on it, so it can go right under there like that, right? And then we can still make use of this one so that you have like two. Let's see how this looks from that side. Not entirely sure. I'm gonna see how it looks from this side. No, I'm not feeling it. So it's a matter of just basically playing around with the wood. You can break this. I'm just using this wood just to showcase. So you can have this one as well, just something like this. So that rock that I wanted to put, or even this one, can come right there. I'm thinking this one can just move a bit back like that, and then this one can come like something like that, something like that. All right, so like that. So you basically play around with the wood that you have chosen until you get that look that you're going for. For me specifically, I love having height in my tank, especially when it comes to the hardscape. So if I'm choosing the hardscape that I want to have like height depending on the kind of scape that I'm going for. If I have like a lot of plants, which at the moment I really don't, so I'm just basically gonna have like what's this, not a lot of plants, right? So if I was to completely scape this tank, I would definitely have my valve at the background, and then yeah, something like that. So you have your hardscape there, and since I don't have glue, if you don't have glue, right, what you can do is use a rock, or like use a rock to basically put it on top like that. Like you can have one there so that it doesn't float with the wood, and you can put another one, something like this, right? It still gives it like that nice look, like okay, this is kind of interesting. And then if you have more plants, if you can afford to buy more plants, you can even buy like Anubias, then you can stick your Anubias on the rocks and stuff like that. Or if you have fans, you can stick your fans onto just stick them onto these spaces on the wood that you have basically. So that's basically it. And now what you want is, when you're filling it, what you want to have is basically have something like this, or you can use a plastic bag. Then you just come, right? You come and I'm not gonna put plants in this one because the plants that I'm growing in the plants that I have at the moment are the ones in my main tank, and I just want to grow them out, right? So I'm just gonna show you this. So if you have the plants that I have in my main tank, you can basically, which is Val, you can basically just plant them at the back and then it grows, right? So you can use this as like to fill your water, right? Fills it nice, fills it slowly, basically just like that, right? So that it doesn't have, you don't have like your wood, like if I show you like this, right? Look at that. That already like messes everything up, and that's basically what you don't want when you're filling in your water. So you want to do it nicely and slowly, basically doing this. Filling up your water is basically the most to be honest, it's the most painful and the most annoying part of like this hobby, because it takes time. Some people have big tanks, like if you choose to buy like a big tank, it's gonna take you time, right? Depending on the process that you actually use. But if you're beginning, if you're a beginner, I'm guessing you don't actually have a lot going on. So that's the things that you're actually gonna be using. You're gonna be using a jug, you're gonna be using old containers, things like that to basically fill in and stuff, right? What I have in here are just pebbles. You can also use small pebbles just to put around to give it that more realistic look. So basically play around with the hobby. This is where you have fun. This is basically where you learn. You're gonna make mistakes, and then after a few days you're gonna, I wish I did it differently, I used to do it differently. And then just enjoy the hobby. That's basically also what makes it fun. And don't forget to be part of a community where you can basically take a picture of your scape when you're at this stage like this, and you can share with others and be like, yo guys, look, this is what I have so far. What do you guys suggest I do? What kind of plants do you think will look good in this tank, or things like that? So basically play around with the hobby and have fun with it. Next bit of this video, which is also the most important part of the video, because what makes this part actually special is if you are part of the community. I actually asked guys in our WhatsApp group to just give tips for people who are actually starting in the hobby, or someone who has bought their tank and doesn't know what else to do. I just asked them to give their advice on what is important to do and all these things. So I'm just going to be sharing exactly what they said word for word, because these are guys who have been in the hobby for like a long period, some even like up to 20 decades, even more than that, right? And then we even have a lady who shared some advice, and what she shared was absolutely amazing. And what I love about her is I personally love to call her the queen of betas, because she breeds betas that are absolutely beautiful. She has amazing tanks, and she's her eye to detail when it comes to the hobby, and just breeding the fish, the betas specifically, is absolutely amazing. So I will take advice from these guys, because it really is something that you really need. So being part of the community is essential. So make sure that you text me so that I can send you a link. But before I even add you to the group, I'm just basically gonna ask you a few questions, like how long have you been in the hobby, or what got you to start the hobby, or why do you want to be part of the hobby, things like that, before we actually add you to our community, because we're very strict, not just adding a lot of people, because you may have someone in the hobby but their attitude and behavior is completely not aligned with ours. So we're just gonna get started off. All right, so we're gonna start off with Ricky. He's also part of the community, very active, not on the group, but we chat a lot. He's actually kind of a good buddy right now. So I'm gonna start off with his advice. So the first thing he said is, don't be afraid to ask for advice. Do your own research, but always ask the big boys of your fish community, right? So basically, be part of the community and ask the guys who have been in the hobby for like a long time. He started the hobby, I think, around 2000, and then he was in the hobby for like, let me confirm. He started the hobby in 2002 when I was born, and then he was in the hobby for like until 2010. Fish died, and then he restarted 2023, and he has been in it since then. So you see, you have people like this. So the other advice that he shared was, second, build your own beneficial bacteria. They are not bad at all. build a colony ASAP. A beneficial bacteria is basically what makes your tank run. Like, that's why you have sometimes when you actually set up a tank, you need, it's either you buy beneficial bacteria, or you just leave your tank there for a while, and you just letting the filter run, letting the tank cycle, basically calling the cycle process. And sometimes this process goes up to like months, where you just leave your tank there, where, you know, just let those little bacteria just growing in the tank, so that when you put your fish in, there's already living organisms and stuff that are in there, right? So basically that, I don't know if I explained it well, but I think I did. Then the third one is basically listen to advice, then try it out before you make it your own. Don't follow other people's advice blindingly. Some people are just out there to destroy. That's true. So listen, like, you can be part of the community, listen to what other people have to share and say, but try and make that advice your own, basically, so that you just don't follow them without knowing exactly where you're going to be going, right? Because sometimes people will end up giving you advice that will definitely kill your fish, and you don't want that, right? So get advice, try and make it your own, and all that. And then the fourth one is don't be afraid to add live plants, right? Yeah, live plants absolutely beautiful. Like, for the moment I got my tank, my heart always just wanted to like have live plants in it, because live plants make the tank much livelier than what it is. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I just got my plants last year around October. That was the first time I actually got my plants. So it's been a couple of months, and I'm absolutely loving it, just seeing the plants grow. For me, I love seeing growth. I love seeing the fish give birth to babies and watching them grow. That makes the hobby absolutely amazing. And then trimming, and then watching those trimmings that you have grow as well is absolutely amazing, because there's, you know, nature is just amazing. It's just hard to put it into words. Though when I was talking with one of the guys seminar on Saturday, he was like, it's God, nature, and then you. So God creates the nature, and the nature is out there, and it's our job to enjoy it and experience it as much as possible, right? And then the next one is have a balance between top feeding fish, middle feeding fish, and bottom feeders, right? I actually absolutely agree on that, because when you see community tanks, right, you have these fish that are always at the top of the tank. Then you see these ones that are always in the middle. The middle ones are always the neon tetras, and then you have the bottom feeders, which are the corridors, the plecos, and all these other fish, the shrimps, and all these guys, right? So having that makes your tank actually very interesting, because the top is not empty. There's something always going on. The middle, something's always going on, and at the bottom, something's always going. So that means it's always something to see, right? Then the sixth one is bottom feeders are important as F, right? Have algae eaters as well as corridors, and then have algae eaters as well as corridors. Snails are your friend. Cleanup crews as well as food for your fish. If they get out of hand, crush them, then they get food again. So basically, having fish that deal with algae, and also fish that also eats the leftover food that the fish don't finish, so that you don't have that gunk left over in your tank. So everything is just your tank is basically maintaining itself. And when you have fish like that, you can have snails, you can have shrimp, you can have the corridors, you can have plecos, all these kinds of fish that help with the algae hitting the leftover food and all this other stuff. There are some fish that also eat other fish poop, so you see, it's interesting, right? And then yeah, so that was all from him. He even said hope this helped. So I actually think this actually helped a lot, especially for someone who's a beginner and you have gone to this part of the video. Then the next one, we're gonna hop onto the group, right? And then we have Mr. Quinton. He's also part of the guys who are, he's also actually the co-founder of Namib Aquatic Scapes. So his advice, the first one was, trial and error is costly, follow advice and make minor adjustments if needed. That means like be part of the community. Guys, being part of the community is the most important thing. And like when I first got into the hobby, like when my cousin gave me his tank, he immediately put me in a community where I was just asking questions, dumb questions. Because sometimes I would be walking and then I would see a puddle of like water, then I'll be like wondering, can I use these plants in a fish, in my fish tank? Because I really wanted plants in my fish tank, right? So I'll ask questions. Guys, what happens when my guppies are doing this? Guys, this, guys, this, guys, this. Then you get advice, right? Because sometimes you might buy big fish and you don't follow it, and that big fish like angels and stuff are very expensive, and when you buy those fish and you don't follow and you just do it blindly, you might end up costing yourself like a lot of money. So when you're part of a community, they give you advice on what to do and things like this. It's absolutely amazing. It's beautiful having people share advice, having people care about your fish as well. It's absolutely amazing. Then the second one was, do your research. Fish keeping has been around for a long time. If your setup does not suit the fish, don't get the fish. Like at the beginning of the video, you see when I was at Desert Pets, I was talking about the first thing that you need is to actually buy your like to choose the fish that you want, so that you can choose the kind of tank that you want according to your budget. If your budget is allowing you to only buy the small kind of fish, then you can go for a smaller kind of tank. If you're, those kinds of things, right? So then the third one was, share ideas and tricks with other fish keepers. The hobby is so much more fun and affordable if you have friends to share it with and to exchange fish and equipment with, right? So being a part of the community, you find people who are actually breeding their own fish. So that means they will sell you the fish, and you find sometimes the fish that they are breeding and that they are willing to sell to you, or even make an exchange, are much cheaper than the fish from the fish stores, right? So it's absolutely amazing. And when you enter the hobby and you start, let's say you choose to have plants and your plants grow so much, but you want more fish, you can trim your plants, exchange plants for fish, and basically the hobby becomes more fun and you get to experience different kinds of things, right? That was it from him. So we're hopping on to the next advice that we got. And then we have Mr. Stefan. He is like a encyclopedia for fish keeping. He knows every single thing when it comes to fish keeping. But what I also love about him, as much knowledge that he has, he also learns from other people as well. So he is very good in the hobby. Like he knows so much about the hobby, but he also learns from the other guys in the community as well, which makes his knowledge even much worth a lot. So here's what he has to say. One of the top advices to give will be to plan your tank according to the species you want to keep. Otherwise, to limit yourself to species you can keep in the type of environment you set up. Let me just read that again. One of the top advices to give will be to plan your tank according to the species you want to keep. Otherwise, you end up limiting yourself to species you can keep in the type of environment you set up. So that means choosing the fish you want to keep before you even buy the tank. Otherwise, you end up going to limit yourself to the setup that you have. So choose your fish first. If you want angels, discus, you want this big fish, go for a bigger tank, which gives you opportunities to do a lot of different types of things. You can have Oscars, you can have so many different species that are amazing and beautiful. You can have arowanas, you can have, oh guys, the list is endless, right? And then the next one that we have is from Susan, who's also the queen of betas herself. She said people need to research before buying anything. So important. Research before you buy anything. Step into a fish store or go on Facebook, look for the communities that are there. Go on YouTube, go on Google, research what's available for the fish keeping hobby, or join the WhatsApp community. Make sure that you text me or you email me so that I can send you the link and you can be part of our community. It's ever growing, guys. Yeah, I mean, this advice is absolutely priceless because you are getting the advice from people who have been in the hobby longer than I personally have been in. So you get to take their advice and see how you can implement it, make it your own, and then you get into the hobby. Choosing the fish is very fun. Choosing the kind of plants you want is very fun. Choosing the wood is very fun. And then also scaping the whole, putting everything together is also a very interesting thing as well, and then maintaining the fish, and then sitting down, relaxing, and then just watching your fish grow, watching your plants grow, watching your tank, you know, age and stuff like that is absolutely amazing. So guys, thank you so much for watching the video till this end. Make sure you share with someone who is a beginner and wants to hop into the hobby, because this is absolutely amazing. God has created nature for us to share and to be a part of it, and you can have nature part of your home. So stay creative, stay aquatic, and make sure you watch this video where I basically scape my neighbor's tank so that you can see what goes down in the and how I actually made their tank an absolutely masterpiece. So I'll see you guys in the next one.